Hey, welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hopefully, having a great week. It's Thursday morning again, or Thursday, whatever time you're listening to this, and we're back again. So, got to play some golf and felt good about it. Actually, got out and played. Didn't play well, but I got to go out and play. And this time of year for Michigan, you'll take it. Before we get into today's episode, just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Titleist and the new GT drivers. In pursuit of speed and playable distance, Titleist engineers developed a new material construction that unlocks the next generation of driving excellence. The new GT Driver series represents the biggest technological leap ever in Titleist driver design. Inside the head, a new split-mass construction positions weight both forward and back to optimize speed, launch angle, and spin to the specific player needs for each GT model. I'm a GT2 guy. I love the fact that it offers that forgiveness with the ball speed and a little bit of height. Just works with my game. From the outside, GT drivers feature a stunning, seamless thermoform crown, presenting a classic, confident package that feels as good as it looks. Honestly, you didn't even know it was there, and the sound and feel kind of sounds and feels like a Titleist driver, just a little bit more muted. GT's new crown construction also introduces a proprietary matrix polymer, never before used in golf. This ultra-lightweight material offers a versatile performance of a composite while delivering Titleist's signature sound and feel. Experience a new class of drivers with the Titleist GT. To learn more about each GT model and find a fitting event near you, visit Titleist.com. So today, went out there and today actually, or no, yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. It's so hard because I record this before Thursday, but went out and played some. Been hitting some balls, trying to get some stuff dialed in. Filmed some three-swing challenge stuff. I know I got eaten alive on the last three-swing challenge. Those are probably the worst three swings I've had all year. Doing all that and trying to get some content before the weather gets too cold. Started off this morning, and it was like 44 degrees at like 7:50, which is when I teed off right about. And it was chilly. But I do have to say, I've got some... I know I did a show about the Galvin Green Ames jacket, the waterproof jacket. I also have a quarter zip from them as well. And I'll tell you what, that thing is probably the warmest quarter zip I've ever worn. I brought another jacket just in case, because I was like, well, it's going to be pretty cold, and I don't know how many layers I'm going to need and whatever, and I don't know how much warm it's going to be by the time I get done. So I brought an extra jacket, thinking I would need it. I brought the mittens. I brought kind of a little bit of everything, and ended up not needing pretty much any of it. I pretty much wore the same thing the whole time, and it was great. So I do have to say, I was a big fan of this quarter zip. I would love to tell you what it is, but my internet is not letting me get there. But I've got it was basically one of their half zips, and I'm trying to think what it's called. No, I'm not going to be able to do it anyway. So went out and played, earlier in the week. It was chilly, and but I went out there and played, and it was pretty good. I hit some good shots. Started off. What I've usually been doing lately is I start off really good. I'm start off nice and slow. The tempo's good, and then by like the back nine, I start like speeding it up, ramping it up, trying to hit it harder, all that crap. So it's been a little rough. But I was hitting the new tour edge stuff out there, the new drivers, new fairway. I brought one of the fairways, had the Thai Fusions out again, because those things have just been really, really good. I don't know if they're going to beat out the P770s, but man, it's going to be close. They might beat it out. Let's put it this way. It's neck and neck at the moment. The one thing with the Thai Fusions is just they're crazy forgiving. Wherever you hit it on the face, it goes pretty straight and it goes pretty far. So they definitely do a nice job. So those in the P770s are really fighting it out. And then, but I didn't even putt. So went out and played, didn't even putt, because the greens had all been aerated and sanded. And on some of the greens, they literally had piles of sand still. I went and played this course called Golden Hawk, and they literally had piles of sand, like the ninth green. I think it was like you couldn't putt through it. It literally had little lines of sand where you can tell like the machines went through and laid it down, and it was unputtable. It was unbelievable. Like nobody came and like blew it off or brushed it in or anything. So I didn't even putt most of the day. I think I putted on just a couple holes. So that was brutal. And that course too, I played it. I think I played that course. It's called Golden Hawk. It's up in it's kind of up 94 in Michigan, if you know, or if you know anything about Metro Detroit. And it hasn't rained here in a while. It hasn't been like crazy hot, whatever. I mean, we're in October, but it's been nice and whatever. And I went there, and I have never played that course where there isn't standing water on some of the fairways, cart pass, whatever. It is just the legit wettest course I've ever played in my life. I've never seen it. I mean, I started playing it when COVID hit because it was one of the first places that was kind of open. Got a tee time there. It was wet. I remember walking, had my push cart, just wet. And then every time I played it since, it has been soaked. So it is definitely a course that retains some water. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like it's in a depression of any way, shape, or form, but it definitely holds some water. So it's definitely not my favorite course to play, but if you go play really early, you can beat the crowd and play by yourself, which is nice and what I need to do when I go to the 3-swing challenge. So I was out there hitting some of the new Tour Edge stuff. Like I said, FT Tours. The wedges I'll talk about today. I was hitting those, but just had a handful of new things out there. So it was good. It was fun. It was good to get out and play. I hadn't played in a little bit. I've been kind of struggling with just getting, between family life and work and all that stuff, and just haven't played as much lately. So it was good to get out and play. Even though there weren't as many amazing swings, it was still pretty solid. And I do want to say, pretty impressed. The Tour Edge stuff was pretty solid. I'll probably do a show on that next week. I know a lot of people kind of want like launch monitor numbers or whatever. So I'll do that and then do, I'll hit a few into the net and get the old launch monitor going, and then we'll talk about those. But today we'll talk about some wedges that I've had, that I've teased, that I've said I've been messing with, and I finally, got enough rounds on them, enough short game area. I've played them a good amount now that I feel like talking about them. So we have the brand new JP Golf Camber wedges. So these are the JP Camber wedges. If you don't know, James Patrick Harrington is the creator of JP wedges, and his premier wedges were his kind of first. Well, he was kind of on his own, doing some pretty cool, crazy stuff. He had these, forged wedges with these tungsten weights inlaid and all this stuff. And then he went and worked for Titleist for a little bit. And was working there, and then now he's back on his own, doing his own JP wedges again. So JP Premiers are back as well, but they're a little different. They're kind of a multi-piece internal weight type wedge, which is pretty cool. It kind of builds them custom to each person, which is pretty awesome. And then these are the brand new one-piece forged milled JP Camber wedges. So basically, he calls it the camber, and a lot of that is just due to the sole. So if you look at these, they have a really rounded front leading edge that pushes basically most of the bounce and the contact point really forward. And then on the bottom, it's kind of got a split sole design. You can see where it like comes in near the toe, and it's got some heel relief. And basically, though that design increases turf interaction, gets through the turf really quickly, doesn't allow it to dig, and it's a design he's been doing for and refining over the years for a long time. So when you look at these things here, they really do have kind of like a really rounded off dead or they call them dead leading edge. And it definitely, when you are a player like myself who plays in a lot of soft conditions up here, it's not really crazy firm, and you tend to get a little bit steep with your clubs because you get a little over the top, and you tend to miss things left. You kind of look at stuff that has good turf interaction, doesn't take huge divots, and most of the time, every time we got fit into a wedge, it has been high bounce versions, especially sand wedges. Sand wedges has been high bounce. Everything I've done there has been the high bounce version. Gap wedge is the same, and then the lob wedge is kind of here and there. Depends. A lot of times I get fit and out at different places that are nicer, tighter lies. I tend to slide into a little bit lower bounce, and then when I get back home, I kind of miss that bounce, those slightly wider soles, and I ended up gravitating back towards them. So, but this is kind of a new line of JP wedges, but really, really nice. They do a ton of different designs. They have three bounces or three sole designs. Basically, they have a mid, a high, and then I think a standard as well, or a low. So there's a low, a mid, a high. The low, mid, and high come in between 58 and 60, mid and high between 48 and 56. So depending on what you're looking for, gap wedges, sand wedges, you just get the mid and high sole options, and then when you get into the lob wedges, the 58, 60, you get a low version as well. And for those players who are playing a little firmer conditions, they're more of a picker, or they play the face a little more open frequently, hit a lot of different shots. Typically, that low sole would be kind of for them. But I've got 56 in high, and then I have two 60s, one in high, one in high, one in mid, And, from talking to JP, him and I kind of went back and forth a good amount, just kind of emailing back and forth about my wedge game, what type of shots I hit, kind of the problems I have, the issues. And he was the one who was like, well, let's try both 60s and see which one works out best. But it's a great looking wedge. I mean, the shape, when you look from the back, is definitely unique. It's got this kind of unique milled cavity in it. The JP logo down near, down near the heel. And horizontal kind of milled lines. It's got this little flare out of it where they're moving the weight. And this is all done not just for great looks, but they do this to actually get the center of gravity where he wants it, positioned correctly in the head for basically more consistency, better sound and feel. And then, the sole's got this cool little design, and then you have these kind of, cross lines through there. Really a whole lot going on, but very cool. And then you look at, the wedge from address, and it's super simple. And he's actually done something pretty cool, because on the back, it's chrome, like shiny mirror polished chrome. And the face, if you look in the hosel halfway through, it all of a sudden starts this kind of like frosted look to it. So on the front, it's got this kind of frosted, no glare finish. And then on the back, it's got this nice shiny chrome and all that. So it looks really cool in the bag. And then when you pull it out and you set it down, there is no glare at all, which is pretty awesome. Faces are milled flat. And it's got a pretty traditional look, really straight leading edge, more of a rounded wedge. So if you're somebody who likes like a really sharp toe and all that, these are a little more rounded, a little more softer edges, nothing really sharp or anything like that. Really straight leading edge as well, even on the 60, but which I really like. I mean, my whole thing is I love a little straighter leading edge. And the transition from the leading edge into the hosel is like perfectly flush. And I really like that. I know a lot of wedges have kind of like a little jaunt there, a little hook. This doesn't have any of that. So they're not crazy small. They look a little bit more compact from address when you have like kind of the ball behind them. But they're an average size wedge. They're pretty close to other size wedges there. But the little milling details and all that definitely set these things apart. And honestly, I would say the one thing, if you're going to order a set of these, the one thing I would do is maybe change up the paint fill. Sometimes when I was looking at these, and they're in the heel, it says 60 or it says like 56 in the heel. That's kind of where it's marked. And I love how they did like the 56 and all that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of see. But sometimes out in the course, it's a little hard to grab real quick. So I would maybe do paint fill slightly different on, if you get 2 wedges, 3 wedges, whatever your set would be, I would probably go a little bit different paint fill on them, only so you can you can kind of tell them apart a little bit faster. There was more than once out there that I was kind of like, wait, which one do I have? I got the 50, the 56, which one there? But yeah, had these things here, and the first thing I did when I got them was take them out, all 3 of them, to basically the short game area where I play my league. So out there at St. Clair Shores, they got a little, a fairly decent sized putting green. Not a huge chipping area, but they kind of allow you to chip from just about anywhere around the green. And the first thing that you definitely notice with these is it makes you, the way this sole design with that forward camber, what it makes you do is it makes you basically keep up your speed. If you're somebody who decelerates something like that, this thing here, if you don't hit it right, can penalize you a little bit. But for me, it's worked out really well because it's forced me to hit the shot I need to hit and keep the speed up for the shot I need to hit. And when I've done that, once I've kind of got comfortable and you kind of learn that, it has been really, really good. Because one, I haven't chunked near as many shots. I haven't chunked, any of them. I've left some stuff short because I just didn't hit it hard enough, or played the face a little open or something like that. But I have yet to chunk one after going to that short game area. So the first few I decelerated a little bit, not knowing kind of how the wedge played. And then as soon as I learned that you really can throw this thing into the turf, even on these shortest little pitch and chip shots, from there, it's been really, really good. Basically, the 60 for me is a club that I only use basically right around the green. If I have to carry a bunker, short-sided, something like that, rest of the time I'm using a 56. And I tell you what, I've got more confidence now in the 60 than I had before. And the interesting thing, too, is that the 60 that I kind of like the best out of the 2 is the 60 mid bounce. So the midsole there has been turned into my favorite. But the nice thing about it is, again, the big thing that I would be kind of scared with a regular lob wedge is I was scared of getting too steep, putting the club in the ground, and the ball just not going anywhere. And with this sole here, the turf interaction, it's pretty much like nothing I've ever hit before. You can, whether it's a full shot, whether it's a partial shot, whatever, this wedge just does not dig into the turf. As soon as it touches, it basically is finding a way to basically glide through smoothly and quickly and with a shallow divot immediately. There is no, whether it's a full shot with a 60, full shot with a 56, whatever, this club is going to get through the ground really fast and with probably the shallowest divots that I've hit in a long time. And again, I'm playing a course that is soaking wet. The last time I played it with regular wedges, I definitely took some very big chunks of turf out there. At St. Clair Shores, where I play my league, I played out there. Not near as big of an issue, in terms of taking really big divots, but I noticed the exact same thing. The divots there, shorter, shallower, and the club just glides through. I think a lot of people think, with so much bounce, so much leading edge, it would kind of hang up and be slow. It gets through really, really quickly. And it's one of those, once you get confident in it, you hit a few shots and you kind of get the feel down, you can really kind of get aggressive with the shots you hit. And there was a few shots that I got a little more aggressive than I should have and hit a few long. But I'll tell you what, I'll take that in the learning curve as opposed to being super tentative, decelerating, chunking shots that go 10 feet and then I've got to chip again or whatever around the green. This is given, these wedges definitely give you a lot of confidence that I can hit the shot I want to hit without having to worrying about, am I going to make contact perfectly or whatever. It gives you that little bit of forgiveness. And the sole works really well. Softest conditions, again, really, really shallow divots. When you get into traditional, firmness, which is still soft up here in Detroit, the club, again, on full shots, gets into the turf, and gets out extremely fast. Same thing with those little pitch shots. It just kind of glides, kind of on top in a sense. You get under the ball, no problem, all that. You can compress it. But it just kind of glides across that turf, whether it's a tight fairway lie or, you're hitting out of the rough or something like that. It gets through really, really quickly. That's the other thing, too. The rough around here when you're in Metro Detroit, which I've talked about before, is kind of long, lush grass. You can get a ball that kind of either sits up or falls down, sinks to the bottom, just depending on the lie you get. And in both conditions, the sole works really well. If you're playing something where the ball is sitting really down, again, you can kind of go after it, get a little aggressive, and kind of get the club into the turf a little bit more, ensuring that you get under the ball, you get ball on face, you get it out, and it works really well. And on the flip side, if the ball's sitting up a little bit, you don't have to worry about this thing sinking down, sliding under the ball, catching really high in the toe, and it's just going nowhere. It does kind of level out and get through, those conditions really well. And even if you open the face, there is a ton of float there. So same thing, you put it in the trap. The traps around me lately have been really firm, kind of wet. Nobody's really, preparing them or anything like that because we're getting near the end of the season. So this thing has a ton of bounce. You definitely have to get, into the sand, kind of hit a little bit steeper, get behind it. In fluffy sand, this thing would float great. I just know it would. But in the firmer sand, you definitely have to watch. If you get in a little too, if you get a little too close to the ball, you're definitely going to catch some ball. You won't be able to get it under the ball as easily in these conditions. But in regular traditional sand, there's a ton of float. When you open the face, you can see, how much of that sole is still down and out there to help kind of get through the sand. So I've hit these things. I played two full rounds now, so 36 holes and some practice sessions, and they've been really good. Sound and feel on both of them is really, really solid. They're very soft. Whether you're hitting a more full shot with the 56, I've also put a little range time as well with these, all three of them. But the feel is really soft, especially when you hit a dead center. Really solid. You get a nice thud to it. There's just like a hair of an audible click, but really nothing bad at all. It really has a nice soft feel to it, but still very responsive. If you do catch it a little out in the toe, you're going to catch just a little bit of vibration more and catch just a slightly louder audible sound. Down near the heel, it actually feels still pretty good. Shots hit in there are still really soft. You don't get much more click to it. It kind of feels similar to center strikes. And shots low in the face, same thing as the toe. You get a little louder sound, maybe just a little more click, but again, nothing too crazy. 56, which is my go-to for hitting everything, is, this is the 56 high on here. You can tell each one of these on the hosel, it's got one, two, or three rings. So the three rings here basically means it's the high sole, so the high bounce sole. And they are shaped just a little bit different. It still has the, cutout toe relief, and it has some relief down in the heel. But this thing's, is, even though it has this kind of big, kind of rounded leading edge, it's still versatile. You can still hit a lot of shots with it. Again, we're not here, in Michigan, we're not crazy, super firm, tight lies. So you can kind of get down under the ball pretty easily. The leading edge is easy to get the ball, under the ball. Some places where it's super firm, you would probably want to go more the mid or the low or something like that, depending on the option. But up here, having that leading edge sit just a little bit higher is not bad at all. And honestly, again, I love the fact that you can just throw it into the turf and get that club to just kind of hit, thud, go through, and it's done. And you look at these much smaller divots compared to what I had with other wedges. But the 56 really solid. Used it for pretty much anything to pretty much full shots, which is like an 85-yard shot for me, down to anything around the green. So chipping, pitching, all that. The 56 is my club. Even out of the trap, the 56 is typically what I go to unless I'm really short-sighted, and then it's 60. But I love the fact that, with these, you can flight it. You can hit it high, you can hit it low, especially with those little like pitch shots. I can hit them lower and still carry some spin. And, if you need to hit it a little bit higher, you could do that. They're definitely offer kind of that shot making ability that, you'd expect from pretty much any wedge. Spin on them, really, really solid. Out of the fairway, they definitely hit. They will check up. They will spin back. They will bite really, really hard. Even, on these greens that were sanded, aerated, whatever, I was still finding balls that, hitting from, say, 50 yards, whatever, that were hitting, checking up, and they were either staying next to their mark or pulling back just a little bit. I don't think I had a shot that released at all from the fairway. I had one that it actually caught a little downslope, so when it hit, there was a downslope there, and it released a couple feet, and that was it. But, I mean, that's pretty hard to spin it back up the hill. So spin on these really, really good. The milled faces, these grooves, produces a good amount of spin, even out of the rough. I mean, I know these are brand new. Produce a good amount of spin. I think in my 3-swing challenge video, you'll see one of them hit this little pitch shot from the rough, and it actually checked up faster than I thought. I was actually playing it for more release to roll down this hill, and it kind of hit the top of the hill and kind of bit harder than I thought. And it was still a good shot. I think I ended up being 4 feet away or something like that, but I thought it would actually get to the hole. I thought I hit it better than I did, and it just checked up harder than I expected out of the rough. So really versatile. You can play these things from just about anywhere. I love the fact that from address, it's got that nice rounded look, square leading edge. Between the mid and the high, between especially the 60 hitting mids and highs, there's not a huge difference. You can definitely tell if you're trying to open it out a little bit, that high sole has just a little bit more to it. It extends out just a little bit further from the back, and it raises the leading edge just a touch more. Basically, how far this sole comes back a little bit is extended on the high bounce sole, and on that 60, they play just a little bit differently. This one here on the fuller shots, of course, gets through the turf quickly. It digs even less, but it's going to be, for me, more playing square shots. You're not going to open it up as much. You're going to play it more square, hit those shots, because, opening up, it does bring that leading edge up. And, out of the rough, no big deal. You can hit shots, if you need to carry a bunker and all that, no problem. But off the fairway, for me, I did struggle a little bit playing a little bit more open face shot with the high bounce in the 60. In the 56, I don't mind it because I don't do that a whole lot. I pretty much play it pretty square anyway. There's a little bit here and there that'll open up, but for the most part, I think for me, the 56 high and the 60 mid are the two that I like the best. And I think it's because, with the 56, you play it more square, you play it out of the trap, all that stuff. That extra bounce just helps, and it floats really well. And then the 60, not that I'm a versatile guy, but I think it just gives me the option that if I need to open the face and stuff like that, I can do it. And if I need to play it square, I can do it. It just allows me to kind of hit all the shots I would hit with a 60. But like I said, these things here are really impressive. I know they're not cheap. These are $295 per wedge, so they're expensive. But when you look at all the milling, all the detail on these, you kind of understand why. And then, with this totally different camber design, they just play differently than every other wedge. And like I said, you're not going to expect the turf interaction to be as good as it is with a sole that looks kind of chunky like this. but the way JP designed it, it just really does work well. So for me, I've been really impressed with these. I like them a lot. I've definitely had a lot of confidence in them. This is probably the fastest I've had confidence in a wedge that I can think of. I mean, I've had some wedges that I've really loved before that are higher bounce that you can kind of throw into the turf or whatever. But these, but never as fast. Like it took like a few rounds, it took like a little while, to get those things dialed in. These, I mean, it took one little session around the practice green to realize, oh, I've got to be aggressive. I've got to swing a little bit harder. I've got to put it into the turf and let the sole kind of work for the ball. And it definitely worked. That's all it took. And then after that, it's just a matter of hitting the shots I need to hit. So trajectory is pretty good. It's actually a little bit flatter than I expected. I don't know why. I guess I expected them to come out a little higher, more bounce. I expected that to kind of help launch it, but they come out flat. Pretty piercing trajectory. They're going to hold it. They carry a lot of spin, so you get a lot of that control where you can kind of, again, as I said, you can flight stuff down, flight it up. Manipulate the face, hit a few different shots. You'll be able to do all that stuff with these wedges. But JP did a nice job with these. They are definitely high-end wedges. They're very nice. But they perform too. They're not just works of art. They're not just beautiful when you look at them. They definitely perform really, really well. And the time that he's been doing this, all the work, has produced a really, really solid wedge, and they definitely work. So I really like the 56 and 60. I think they do a great job. There's a very good chance that these are in my bag. Just the way I've hit them, the way they play. There's a very good chance that these are going to stay in the bag here because they're just easy to hit. I feel like there are a little bit of forgiveness there where I don't have to be perfect. If I am just a smidge fat, I feel like this thing's still going to get through the turf and get me a decent shot to get me somewhat on the putting surface. I may not be right next to the hole or anything like that, but it's going to get me there, where other wedge grinds, I'm probably going to lose a lot of distance and it's not quite going to be there. So, but these things are really solid. If you go to jpgolf.com, you can check out kind of everything he does there between the Cambers and the Premiers. But the Cambers here, really, really solid. Like I said, offer anywhere from 48 down to 60. So, and then a ton of different, you can get them heads only. I think you can order them heads only. You can get them shafted up and built. You can basically do anything. They'll custom do stuff. These ones here are offered in this cool kind of chrome, where it's chrome on the back, frosted on the front. They do like an all black finish, and then they also do these things in raw, so they will rust. So pretty cool that you can get just about anything you want. But yeah, the custom wedges, I think they even have like wedges that are like ready to go, like that are shafted up and everything. So a lot of options on the website, and you can go there, check it out, kind of build whatever you want. The custom stuff, you can add different paint fill, all that jazz, which is pretty cool. But yeah, whole lot of options. Really, really good wedges. I've been super impressed, and like I said, these could be the 56 and 60s in the bag. So we'll see. I've got a little bit of time here this winter to kind of test stuff and keep going. But I'll tell you what, these have really been easy to hit and pretty fun to play. So jpgolf.com. Check out the wedges there, both the Premiers and the Cambers. He's got both, and there's a lot of good info there about kind of the soles and all that. So that's what I've got. I'm gonna end it there. I know slightly shorter episode, but I'm just gonna do one thing. So if you're I want to thank everybody who asked questions yesterday on my Instagram. We do a Q&A thing every Wednesdays when I try to do it. If you're not following me on Instagram, at Club Junkie Pod, please do. I'd appreciate it. And then wherever you're listening to this podcast, if you could like, subscribe, whatever. I know it's cheesy to say or whatever, but really do appreciate it, and it really does help the whole algorithm and all that. So that's all I've got. Remember, thank you again to Titleist. This episode brought to you by them and the GT drivers. Find your GT Series driver at Titleist.com. And yeah, that's all I've got. You guys have a good week. Play some golf. If you're living in the north, definitely try to get some golf in before our weather gets nasty. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.